Hey there, I'm back. So I never got a camera set up. I couldn't get. Honestly, I just didn't have the time. So maybe the next time I do one of these, I'll go ahead and set up a camera and try to get some good footage. But in the interim, I just decided that at least talking about what I did and kind of helping you guys out with your projects might be something that I can do. So I've got the engine assembled. Yay! It's back together. It's ready to go in. It's super exciting. I've got a couple things to talk to you guys about regarding this project and things that I think is going to make your life just like a little bit easier. Okay, so number one, if you have a first generation 996, so if you have like anywhere from 98 to 2001, you know, somewhere in there, you're going to have a transmission mount that is basically a rubber bushing that is built into a metal sleeve that connects to the back of the transmission around in here somewhere. Where am I? Sorry. Oh, there. Okay, so it's this guy right here. There's a little rubber bushing and you have to cut it out. It's not supposed to be a serviceable part, etc., whatever, but they sell replacements. So mine was damaged, and while I had the whole thing apart, I decided that I would take mine out and replace it. Something that should have been simple turned into a big, huge job. And what I ended up doing, there's tools you can buy to do it online. As with everything else Porsche related, they're wicked expensive. So I decided to build my own. Here it is. So basically like a piece of plate. And then I stuck some big, long, like 8-inch long bolts through it and some washers. And then I just drew slowly, pulled the transmission mount into the transmission. So it took a long time. It was just because I had to make a tool and whatever else. I could basically probably replicate this tool a lot quicker than I did the first time. I had to do a couple versions to get it in there. But it cost me about $10, somewhere between $10 and $15 to do this. And instead of buying a $300 tool that I'm only going to use probably one time in my ownership of this car, I thought that worked out pretty good. So I'm on Renlist, and I had a little kind of a how I did that on Renlist, and I'll probably build another version just to kind of refine what I did, but worked out really well. Something else I did when I was taking mine apart that was super beneficial when I went to put it back together, because I ended up putting it back together like 9 or 10 months later, was I did stuff like this. So when I went to get the transmission bolts out of the bag and put them together, I had labeled them in this really cool little circle so I knew where everything went, and then I put little labels on the bolts so the numbers and everything lined up, and it went in easy because like every single one of those bolts is completely different, which is super cool. The other thing that I had to do is I had to buy some more coolant lines. So during a teardown, when I was pulling this thing apart, I ended up having to yank out, cut some of the hoses because they were fused to the tubes and everything else. So I'm waiting on those, and I'm waiting on my exhaust gaskets. But other than that, I mean, this thing is ready to roll back in. It's waiting on it. Like I said, a couple little things. I redid some vacuum lines. I've just got to finish up with my coil pack wiring and getting the exhaust put back together, and then we're going to try to put this thing back in. Now, I'm going to tell you about the procedure that I'm going to use to start the engine up, because I'm going to try to build oil pressure before I ever actually let this thing fire. So I'm going to pull the fuse out to the fuel pump, and I'm going to crank it over for a couple quick seconds after there's oil in there, let it build up, and then I'm going to crank it again, maybe for a couple more seconds, and then I'll go ahead and crank for maybe 10 seconds or 15 seconds, and then I'll probably turn the fuel pump back on and see if this thing's going to work. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the way the project went. There was a lot of nail biting and a lot of stuff going on, and we'll see if in my garage with regular guy tools and absolutely no knowledge, if I got this thing back together right. So I appreciate anybody who's tuned in and watched these videos just for fun. It's more so me just documenting it because I didn't really do anything useful to you guys. But if you have any questions, I have been inside this thing. I know what it looks like. I know what I did wrong. I know what I could do better next time. So if you have any questions, just like post them down there somewhere. I will get back to you. It sends me a little notification. Or if I can go to your video and support your stuff, just let me know. I had my car for 18 months prior to this failure, so I also drove mine for a long time, and I kind of know what weird noises are, and hopefully I can help some other people out with whatever the crap that I did was. So anyway, I'll post another video when I get this thing back up, or at least when I try to fire it. All the neighbors and my friends want to come and watch me cry if it doesn't work right. So I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks a lot.